We are not here to beg. We are not here to bow. We are India. And when someone tries to twist our arm, they must be ready to feel the grip of consequences. In August 2025, the United States made a move it thought would bring India to its knees. Citing India's continued purchase of oil from Russia, Washington slapped an extra 25% tariff on Indian goods, raising the total tariff burden to 50%, one of the steepest in U.S. history against a major trading partner. It was meant to punish, it was meant to isolate, but the reality? That blow may be landing harder on America itself. According to U.S. trade data, India is America's 9th largest trading partner. Billions of dollars in goods flow between the two nations every year, from pharmaceuticals that keep U.S. hospitals stocked, to textiles and machinery that feed American industries. By jacking tariffs up to 50%, the U.S. has essentially placed a new tax on its own consumers and businesses. American importers are already feeling it. Retailers dependent on Indian cotton, spices, and gems face skyrocketing costs. Pharmaceutical companies that source affordable generic medicines from India, medicines that save U.S. families hundreds of millions each year, now must pay far more, costs that will inevitably be passed to patients. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce has warned repeatedly that high tariffs are a tax on American companies and consumers, and this time, that tax is self-inflicted. But the pain does not stop at the checkout counter. American exporters now face the loss of a rapidly growing market. India, with its 1.4 billion people, is one of the world's fastest expanding middle-class consumer bases. In recent years, U.S. agricultural products, energy technology, and high-end machinery found a ready market here. But India's government has options, and it's looking elsewhere. From France to Israel, from South Korea to domestic suppliers, New Delhi is shifting purchases away from American firms, sending a quiet but powerful message: we will not reward those who punish us. And then there's defense. For years, the U.S. has sought to deepen military ties with India, supplying aircraft like the P-8I and armored vehicles such as the Stryker. These deals are not charity, they support thousands of American manufacturing jobs, from Washington State's aerospace plants to Michigan's assembly lines. When reports surfaced that India had paused plans to procure U.S. arms, even if later officially denied, the signal to Washington was clear: your tariffs carry a strategic cost. You cannot ask India to be a cornerstone of your Indo-Pacific defense strategy and simultaneously treat it as an economic adversary. The irony is sharp. The United States says it wants India as a partner to counterbalance China's rise. Yet by triggering this tariff fight, it risks pushing India toward deeper trade and defense ties with others: Russia, Europe, even its Southeast Asian neighbors. Strategic trust, once damaged, is not easily rebuilt. Meanwhile, American exporters in sectors from energy to education are sounding alarms. U.S. universities, already facing declining foreign enrollment, could see fewer Indian students who contribute billions to the American economy annually, not out of hostility, but because economic friction breeds cultural and educational distance. And here lies another uncomfortable truth: Indian students and professionals in the U.S. have long faced subtle and sometimes open racism. From biased hiring decisions to discriminatory visa policies, the message some Americans send is clear: they see the benefits of Indian talent, but not always the value of Indian people. They forget that these students fill U.S. classrooms, pay full tuition, drive innovation in Silicon Valley, and lead groundbreaking research in American labs. Today, they might take this for granted. But the day India strengthens its own world-class universities and booming tech hubs, the U.S. will feel the loss, not just in dollars, but in the erosion of its intellectual edge. The bridges they burn now may be the very ones they will wish to cross tomorrow. And in the oil markets, India's refusal to bend is making a larger point: energy security is a sovereign decision. America's attempt to punish India for buying discounted Russian crude has not stopped those purchases, it has only incentivized India to expand alternative payment systems that bypass the US dollar. In the long run, that erodes a key pillar of American financial power. Economists inside the US know the risk. When tariffs on Chinese goods were raised in previous years, American studies, some from the Federal Reserve, showed that over 90% of the cost was borne by US consumers. The same math applies here. This isn't a tax on India. It's a tax on Americans, wrapped in political theater, and while Washington talks tough, American companies quietly lobby for exemptions. Some importers are rushing to reroute supply chains through third countries to dodge tariffs, a move that undercuts the very sanctions and penalties the US is trying to enforce. Others are warning they might move operations out of America altogether if costs keep climbing. What's more, the US risks losing one of its most dependable allies in global health supply. During the pandemic, India was a pharmaceutical lifeline, supplying vaccines and essential drugs when other nations hoarded supplies. Now, many in India's policy circles ask, if America treats us as an adversary in trade, why should we prioritize their needs in the next global crisis? The political cost for America is also real. Around the world, nations are watching how Washington treats one of its largest democratic partners. If the US is willing to punish India so aggressively over independent policy choices, what message does that send to smaller allies? This is not just an India-US story, it's a test of America's image as a fair partner. India will not be broken by tariffs. The farmers will plant. The factories will hum. The ports will load ships for friendlier markets. And as this chapter unfolds, the US may find that its attempt to pressure India has instead weakened its own hand, in the marketplace, in the strategic arena, and in the eyes of the world. We people of India choose dignity over dependence. We will not be the ones counting losses when the dust settles.